All right, it's back here on the 1978 Toyota pickup. Got the rear end out. Stack of old tires, which I think I'm gonna keep a hold of those for a little bit to make moving the car around easier. And I don't want to put the nice wheels and tires on until I'm closer to having stuff done. I just hacked it off, and so I just blew off the shackles and hacked off the rear of it. I tried pounding out those bolts, but they are all the way seized inside of that bushing, and then hitting them just flexes it. So I could have torched them, but there's no way. I'm not going to deal with it, so just cut it off. I put it on Craigslist for $100, but I honestly don't care. Somebody can lowball me 50 bucks, and I don't care. I just don't want it to go to the junkyard. I don't have enough stuff to drop off for me to make another trip to the scrap yard, and I don't really want it sitting on the side of the house. So all right, so got the rear end way up in the air because I was knocking off all the mounts. So there was a mount right here for the front, and then this mount in the rear. Now these ones in the rear, I just cut them and then just kind of ground around in order to get rid of some sharp edges, because it's actually welded on all four corners all the way around. And then you probably can't see, well maybe you can, but then there's this oval piece and it's welded all the way around that too. So they, some freaking crazy over engineering crap going on right there. There's no way that sucker's coming off. I mean, I'd have to cut all the way around it, chisel, cut all the inside, grind the hell out. It's annoying. So this is fine for me. It's not going to be in my way for anything. Then I had some bracketry on this old shock tower mount that was right here. So I got all that bracketry off. There were some other little bits and pieces on the frame that I got rid of. These rear ones were no problem. They didn't have that same welding on the inside, and so I was able to hit it on the edge, hit it on this side as well, and then just air chisel, hammer, bend, whatever to get those off of there. So those ones came off not too shabby. A little bit more bracketry taken off here. So cleaned up about as much as I need to. As far as reference marks, fortunately, these holes that are on both sides were right in the center line of the old axle. So I just circled those to make sure I know where the center line of the new one is going to go. And then, this way I can just, have a good reference mark. I got it, again, kicked up way super high in the air right now, just in order to give me, enough room for cutting around in there. As I showed before, with the wheel and tire package, this thing's going to be dumped. When I was setting it up level, just to kind of get an idea of where it was, I mean, this is going to be super low. It's going to be all the way up on the ground. The only thing when I was measuring it that maybe is going to be a problem is this rear cross member piece. When this is all the way on the ground as far as level, that's only like 3.5 inches off the ground. And that's, I got 4.5 in the front cross member, 3.5 there. I don't know about that. So I'm not going to do anything about it yet. I'll get the rear end totally squared away with everything I need to do. We'll see where that one ends up. But I might need to do something about that. I don't have anything bolted to that. So, as far as like modifying it or whatever, I can do whatever I need to do. Certainly, I don't want to lose it. That extra rigidity is nice. But I might end up having to like cut it out completely and flush mount something else in place. I don't know. We'll see what ends up happening. Then looking at the kit I got, it's just, the traditional 4-bar kit with a panhard bar. Just kind of getting everything laid out that I need. And in order to kind of get this thing squared away in my head. I never put anything like this together, and so I'm just sort of trying to get my bearings straight with what it is and watch some videos and everything. And then I got this piece of scrap steel. I got to check the thickness of it, but I'm hoping I can use this as the new coilover mount. So I got coilovers that are going to go with the kit, and the way those work is where the rear end sits right here in the middle. You know, the coilovers now are going to be behind the rear end, so you can see where this is at currently. The current mount is in front of the rear end, and so that's not going to work for me. And so the way these work is, like, you know, the rear end sits here, you know, drive shaft is going forward. In effect, the bars will be basically mounting kind of similar to where those existing leaf spring mounts were at. And then there'll be another bar that'll be on this side, and then the coilovers will mount to the back end of the rear end. And so that bar is not going to work for me at all. I'm going to leave it right now, and if it can stay, great. You know, I got to get a fuel tank in here and everything. Maybe I can use that for helping mount the fuel tank or whatever, or run brake line or something. So I'm going to totally leave that alone. And then there'll be another bar behind it that I'll be able to use for the coilover. So hopefully I can use that piece of steel. Like I said, I gotta, you know, open it up. I can't remember what the thickness is. I'm hoping it's at least 3/16. If it's 8, that would be even better, but we'll see. It's about the same size as the stock one. As far as mounting it, not exactly sure if I'll try to drill through the frame. As you can see, the way this one's done is it's all the way through the frame, welded around, and then they got that big old plate there in order to get that, you know, super stable. You know, will I trust myself to cut a big ass hole here and then a big ass hole on the other side and have that be like perfectly square through all 4 holes? I don't know. We'll see what ends up happening. But yeah, that's kind of where we're sitting. Frame is in fantastic condition. You know, when I was trying to take those pieces off and everything, like, I didn't have any pieces tearing off or, you know, surprising rust or anything like that. I took the bump stops off, and underneath there was totally fine for where the bump stops were. Behind all the bracketry, you know, it's not like it rusted back behind there and rusted through the frame. All that stuff looks good. You know, this is all sort of crunchy and dirty looking, but it's not actually, you know, rusted through. Like, all the metal is still completely thick, you know, no real issues. Like I said, it's a bit crusty, but as far as structure, it's completely fine. So looking pretty good here. I'm going to be spending a bunch of time watching videos and trying to get my head around getting this thing squared away, but, you know, this will be fun in order to get this done. All right, thanks. See you in the next one.